As of this week, hundreds of Social Security offices are no longer seeing retirees in person after major DOGE-related staffing cuts hit the SSA. For more than 70 million Americans who depend on Social Security every month, that instantly changes this conversation from political to personal. Phone wait times are growing, access is getting harder, and many retirees are starting to fear something much more immediate than government headlines: a delayed check, a missed appeal, a benefits issue with nobody available to help fix it quickly. If that sounds familiar, you are not imagining it. This is already happening. Not because Social Security is disappearing, but because even small disruptions become serious once retirement income becomes the foundation holding ordinary life together. The check arrives. Groceries get purchased, prescriptions get refilled, utilities get paid, and after years of rising healthcare costs, inflation, insurance increases, and shrinking financial breathing room, even small interruptions inside the Social Security system suddenly start feeling emotionally enormous. SSA data already shows office access shrinking fast, with more than 500,000 fewer in-person visits recorded this fiscal year alone. And for retirees trying to solve payment issues, replace lost documents, appeal decisions, verify identity information, or simply speak with a real person, the experience is already starting to feel harder. Hours on hold, confusing notices, calls that never seem to reach someone who can actually help. Now, before panic spreads too far, there is also an important distinction retirees need to understand immediately. Social Security itself is not disappearing. Monthly benefits are still continuing. Direct deposits are still being sent. But what is changing is the pressure building inside the system responsible for managing benefits for more than 70 million Americans. And once people begin feeling that pressure personally, through delays, confusion, reduced access, or difficulty getting help, trust in the system can start weakening very quickly. So what actually changed inside the SSA so suddenly? What actually changed inside the SSA comes down to one thing: a staffing reduction so large, the agency has not seen pressure like this in decades. Major DOGE-related cost reduction efforts pushed the Social Security Administration into one of the largest operational strain periods it has faced in years. Thousands of positions were reduced. Field offices faced consolidation pressure. Support systems became more overloaded, and the workers still inside the system suddenly had to manage growing demand with fewer people available to handle it. In some regions, field offices that once handled thousands of walk-in appointments every month are now operating as phone-only locations with no in-person access available at all. And that matters much more than many Americans realize. Because Social Security is not just monthly checks. The SSA handles retirement claims, disability reviews, identity verification, Medicare coordination, appeals, replacement cards, survivor benefits, direct deposit problems, and millions of customer service requests every single year. Once staffing pressure starts building inside a system that large, small delays can quickly spread everywhere. One missed callback creates another backlog. One delayed appointment creates another waiting list. One overwhelmed office creates more pressure on every nearby office trying to absorb the extra demand. System strain expands quietly that way. Not through one dramatic collapse, but through growing operational pressure spreading across ordinary daily functions. And for retirees, that kind of disruption feels especially stressful because many older Americans already depend heavily on predictable systems: a working phone line, a reliable appointment, a clear notice in the mail, the ability to speak with someone when a payment issue appears. If you have already noticed it taking longer to get answers, you are not imagining it, especially for retirees already managing fixed income, health problems, mobility limitations, transportation issues, and rising monthly expenses at the same time. For many older Americans, the biggest fear right now is not that Social Security suddenly vanishes overnight. The fear is that ordinary problems may become much harder to solve quickly. A direct deposit issue that once took one phone call to fix could now take days. An appeal that once moved through the system relatively smoothly could start sitting longer in backlog. A replacement card request could take longer to process. Identity verification problems could become much more stressful if fewer workers are available to handle them quickly. And once delays start stacking together across multiple parts of the system, small problems can suddenly create very real financial pressure for retirees already living month to month. Because retirees are not thinking about politics first, They are thinking about ordinary life, rent due dates, prescription refill schedules, utility bills, mortgage payments, medical appointments, and when monthly income already follows a tight schedule, even short disruptions can create serious stress very quickly, especially for retirees who do not have large savings available as backup. Many retirees are also starting to notice something else changing. More automation, more recorded phone systems, more difficulty reaching actual workers, more situations where people feel pushed between departments without clear answers. And for many older Americans, that feels emotionally very different from the system they remember depending on years ago. You called an office, someone answered, you scheduled an appointment, you spoke with a real person. Problems still existed, but many retirees felt like there was at least a clearer path to getting help when something went wrong. Now many Americans feel the opposite happening instead. Longer wait times, less personal help, more confusion during already stressful situations. And the system responsible for fixing those problems is the same one now running on fewer people than it has had in decades. Now at this point, it is extremely important to separate fear from reality. Because many retirees are hearing about office closures, staffing cuts, longer delays, and overwhelmed phone systems, and immediately wondering whether Social Security itself is somehow collapsing. That is not what is happening. Monthly Social Security benefits are still continuing. Direct deposits are still being sent. Retirement benefits are not suddenly disappearing overnight, and that distinction matters enormously. Because once fear starts spreading online, many retirees begin hearing extreme claims from every direction. Social Security is ending. Checks are stopping. The system is shutting down. That kind of panic spreads very quickly during periods of uncertainty, especially across social media, where fear often travels faster than accurate information. But the bigger issue is not sudden collapse. It is operational strain. The system responsible for managing benefits is facing growing pressure while millions of Americans still depend on it every month. That creates delays. It creates confusion, and it makes getting help harder when problems happen. But it does not mean retirees suddenly stop receiving benefits tomorrow morning, and that distinction is exactly why retirees need to stay informed without falling into panic. The important thing to understand is this. The current situation is serious, but serious does not automatically mean catastrophic. Social Security is still functioning. Benefits are still moving. The system is still operating. The real concern is whether ordinary retirees may begin facing a harder time getting help quickly when problems appear. And that is a very different issue from the complete collapse many people fear online. So the most important question retirees should ask now becomes simple. What should you actually do to protect yourself if these disruptions continue growing? So if these disruptions continue growing, what should retirees actually do right now? The most important thing is simple. Do not panic. Panic creates mistakes, and during periods of confusion, mistakes become much easier for delays, misinformation, and system problems to create even more stress. The retirees most protected during situations like this are usually the people who stay calm, stay organized, and prepare early before problems become urgent. One of the smartest things retirees can do right now is make sure their Social Security information is accurate and easy to access. Mailing addresses, direct deposit information, phone numbers, banking details, identity records. Because once overloaded systems start slowing down, even small account problems can sometimes take much longer to fix than people expect. Retirees should also start paying much closer attention to official notices from the SSA, and if retirees need to verify information directly, the safest place to start is always the official SSA website at SSA.gov or your MySocialSecurity account at MySocialSecurity.gov. Retirees can also use the SSA office locator online to check whether local offices are still accepting in-person appointments. And if phone help becomes necessary, the main Social Security phone number is 1-800-2772-22113. Do not automatically assume every letter is junk mail. Read notices carefully, especially if they involve identity verification, payment changes, direct deposit updates, appeals, or requests for additional information. And if something feels confusing, addressing the issue early is usually much safer than waiting until the situation becomes urgent later. Organization also becomes extremely important during periods like this. Social Security cards, benefit letters, tax records, banking information, Medicare documents, important phone numbers. Keeping those records organized and easy to find can make stressful situations much easier to handle if problems suddenly appear. And for many retirees, it may also help to make sure trusted family members know where important information is located in case emergencies happen unexpectedly. Because once stress enters the situation, organization becomes much harder. Retirees should also become far more cautious about scams. Periods of fear and confusion almost always attract fraud attempts, especially when scammers know millions of Americans are already worried about Social Security disruptions. Remember this carefully. The real SSA does not demand payment over the phone, threaten immediate arrest, or pressure retirees into urgent financial transfers. If something feels aggressive, threatening, or rushed, slow down and verify everything independently before responding. That one habit alone can protect many older Americans from devastating financial scams. And perhaps most importantly, retirees should avoid making major financial decisions purely because of panic headlines or viral social media rumors. Do not suddenly change retirement plans overnight because of one frightening video online. Do not assume every prediction spreading across social media is accurate. And do not let fear create emotional decisions that may cause even bigger problems later. The pressure inside the system is real, but preparation still gives retirees far more control than panic does. Because the people most protected during periods of uncertainty are usually not the ones who panic first. They are the ones who prepare early, stay informed, and understand how to protect themselves before problems become emergencies. And there is one more question sitting underneath all of this, one that goes far beyond office closures or phone wait times. And this is where the conversation surrounding Social Security becomes much larger than office closures, phone delays, or staffing reductions. Because for many retirees, the deeper fear is not really about one delayed payment or one frustrating phone call. It is the feeling that systems older Americans once depended on confidently are becoming harder to rely on over time. For decades, many Americans built retirement around predictability. The check arrives, the bills get paid, the system works. Maybe not perfectly, but well enough that most retirees still believed help would be available when problems happened. For many retirees, that predictability became the foundation that made retirement feel stable. But now, many retirees are quietly starting to feel something changing. Longer delays, more automation, fewer workers, more confusion, more difficulty reaching real people during stressful situations. And once enough of those experiences start happening repeatedly, the emotional trust people once had in the system can slowly begin weakening. Not because Social Security suddenly disappears tomorrow morning, but because many Americans are beginning to wonder whether ordinary retirement life may slowly become harder to navigate safely over time. That is a very different kind of fear. And honestly, it is probably the reason this issue is spreading so aggressively across retirement conversations right now. Because once people lose confidence in predictable systems, even small disruptions can start creating much larger emotional stress. Especially for retirees already dealing with inflation, healthcare costs, insurance increases, housing pressure, and shrinking financial flexibility at the same time. And this is exactly why staying informed matters so much moving forward. Not panic, not rumors, not fear-driven headlines, clear information, preparation, awareness, and understanding how to protect yourself before small problems become larger emergencies. Because the retirees most protected during periods of uncertainty are usually not the people who panic first. They are the people who stay informed, prepare early, and understand how to adapt calmly when systems around them start changing. And now the question millions of retirees are quietly asking is no longer, will Social Security exist tomorrow? The question is becoming, will the system Americans trusted for decades still feel dependable enough to safely build retirement around in the future? How long was your last SSA wait time? Comment below and let other retirees know what you experienced trying to reach the Social Security Administration lately. They never told you this, but the law did. This is Law Shield USA. And if you want clear weekly updates on Social Security, retirement changes, government benefits, and the issues quietly affecting older Americans right now, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Because over the next few years, these issues are likely becoming far more important for millions of retirees across the country.